thank you so much for coming today. This is super exciting. We've been working on this for a long time, and thank you, Sean and the team, for pulling this off. I was going to say this at the end, but honestly, the tremendous amount of work that went into making all this happen, just feeling very proud of the team. So, hopefully you all know me to some extent. I'm Aronov. I'm the co-founder and CEO of InnerPlant, and been working on this company for about 7 years now-ish. Need to do the math. And you know, for a lot of people that know me in the beginning, and Carl and Julie, I mean, this sounded like sci-fi, and a lot of people went ahead and told me that for a long time. What are the chances that you can do all these things? And that's really the exciting thing, is that we always knew it was feasible, but it now is here, and every single technology that we believe will be part of the vision of the future of InnerPlant is ready, and you're going to be seeing it outside. And alongside that, we're able to also commercialize our seed technology through Croptastic, which took a huge amount of effort to transition from a science project, another turn of heard, to a commercial organization with a field team that, again, is here today you can interact with. So what's the concept behind InnerPlant? It's actually a very simple idea, which is, can we enable plants to simply tell us what they need to create the most optimal farming system possible? Because the reality is that the plants hold all the knowledge. This is something I was told by farmers all the time. The question is, how do we get that information to us in time to act? And what we can do when we can do this is two things around this crop-centric system. One is we can provide treatment for stress plants at the stress onset. So as early as the damage is starting to happen, we can mitigate that and maximize yield potential for farmers. And at the same time, when the crop is healthy and doesn't actually require treatment, we know that. So we can prevent the unnecessary use of inputs that are going to hurt the bottom line of the farmers. So you'll see a lot of these plants today, but let me explain to set the stage. What is the InnerPlant technology? How do we actually enable plants to communicate? We tap into the plant's natural mechanisms to protect itself. So plants look like they're doing nothing, as Ron says. They're hanging out in their environment. It looks like they're just growing and not really active in their environment, but they're actually very active. They're constantly trying to protect themselves to make sure that they can do what they need to do, which is produce seeds. And what that means is that as soon as the plant is impacted by a stress in the environment and is getting infected, doesn't have enough nitrogen or whatever the abiotic stress is, it starts to activate genes to protect itself from the environment. And those genes are both early and they're specific to the stress. So I'll give you a couple of examples. If it's eaten by insects, it starts producing compounds to make it taste bad to repel those insects. If it has fungus that's eating it, it creates proteins that eats the fungal cell wall, which is the mechanism, for example, we're using for inner soil, fungus. And all these things, even though they're early and specific and super useful, are happening at the molecular level. So we can't really see it. It's happening in the plant. You can only know this if you're running molecular assays. So what we do at InnerPlant, in order to enable us to see the signals and for farmers to interact with all of these things that are happening in the plants, is we engineer the crop. We add one line of code to tell it when you're producing these genes to react to your environment, start producing a new protein that creates an optical signal. And in that optical signal, we can see from different modalities of field equipment and satellites and everything else you're going to see today. And one more thing about that slide. The key is that this starts really early. So within the onset of stress, a lot before the visible symptoms and the damage happens, and we can do different problems with different fluorescent proteins, and that's where Rod's going to show you all of the pipeline of everything that's coming, because we want to stack everything a farmer needs to know in one seed and be able to look at the different signals with different colors. Before we jump into 2030, let's talk about 2025. So this has been a huge year for us because it's been the year that we commercialized our technology, our seed technology of inner soil fungus, the first trait, commercialized through Croptastic. Croptastic is a network of plots that have our technology in them that are strategically located for farmers' fields to be able to provide coverage and alert a farmer of a fungal infection in your area. We started with A couple of states, a soft launch in 2025, 50,000 acres covered, a really successful season. We're able to see the technology work, we're able to see the farmers getting value out of it, and they're telling us how much they enjoyed it, and it's the best experience so far. And Gary is going to talk more about this. Gary Schaefer, our Chief Commercial Officer, is going to have a whole presentation after me to talk about the details of what we saw and how we plan to scale to 1 million acres by next year. This has been a huge transition for us. As we're doing this, we really had to change the DNA of the company. And I don't know how many of you are familiar, but it's really hard to go from only R&D to this is time. Customers are paying. We got to deliver value. We got to get the input. We got to move fast. We got to make sure that we can scale this smart with right unit economics, and that we can continue to make it better and get more and more farmers reliant and interested in the information we provide them. Okay, this is my last slide. So to give you an idea of what you're going to see today, after Crowd Voice, we jump into 2030. 2030, of a farmer, let's call him Dave. They've planted their entire field with winter soy-enabled soybeans. So they have to trade, the fungal trade in their fields. It's the second week of July, right? You really want to know what's going on in your field. You want to know if you have an infection. There's no symptoms yet, but this is the time to act. And that's when we start to show you the different demos of enabling different modalities to detect our signals. It starts with day 1 of the week. We get a satellite infection in part of the field. The demo is going to be by Brendan Rasmussen from our team. From there, that infection is going to be white mold. And the reason we chose white mold is two. One, because it's a huge problem right now. So for all of the farmers that we've been servicing, it's top of mind. It could rob up to 80% of your field, of your yield. It's the invisible killer, as Randy from our team has named it, because it starts early. So you will start to infect around early July through the senescent plants, but you won't see symptoms until mid-August, and by then it's too late. So how do you find it early enough? You find it through the fluorescence. And the other key thing is that it doesn't really travel through the field. It starts with flourishing, it's on the soil. It's going to impact the plant that's near it. You really want to optimize your chemical use because it's an expensive product, but there is a product that you can apply in time and it can increase yield significantly. So it's the perfect application for that future farm. From the satellite detection, we're going to jump into two options through John Deere Op Center of work orders. One is for a farmer to take a drone and decide, I want to draw down the granularity of our data. So maybe I don't want to see it at the quarter-acre resolution. I want to understand at the very few plants resolution and figure out logistically what's the best way I'm going to treat my problem. Another option is to take out your seed spray, which is adapted to see the InnerPlant signals. Now with the right product, on the rig, you can go and apply on the plant level. So you're going to see all of these, and this demo is going to be done by Charlie Ross from the John Deere team. So you're going to see all the different optionalities, and really the key for you to understand is we're enabling the plants to communicate. What we want to do is enable as many options for the farmers, because I think some people have heard this before. You met one farmer, you get one farmer. Our goal is to make this the most flexible and the most useful for any customer that we serve. So with that, I'll hand it over. And thank you so much for being here today. I think we're going to have a good time. I'll see you at the end.